Welcome back to another episode of Rob Sports Center. As you can see by the title and by the thumbnail, today we're going to be taking another look at Cam Ward in his Game 2 preseason debut against the Atlanta Falcons. Let's get straight into it. So the very first play, man, you see him just doing typically what you see Cam Ward doing, which is rolling out the pocket to try to buy himself some time to allow those routes downfield to develop. So it looked like they ran a drag route with the receiver from one side of the field, and he kind of just ran away from the defense going across the other side of the field. And by the way, too, I didn't know that there was Iron Man that came from Stanford, the one who was killing Travis Hunter. That's going to be an interesting duo right there with Cam Ward and Iron Man. And so I look forward to seeing how that develops over the course of the season. So once again, like I said, he does a good job at kind of just keeping his eyes in front of him, or in front of the receiver, to kind of just see was it any corner or safety possibly trying to break off from there who they were guarding to try to get back and try to jump into the passing lane, whether that be via catching interception or whether that be via laying a big hit on Iron Manor. But he just does a good job at putting it out there in front of him and allowing him to be able to catch the ball and get some yards after the catch. And like a lot of times when it comes down to receivers being able to run after the catch, it comes down to the quarterback having the accuracy to be able to put the ball right there on the money to where they can catch it and not break stride and just keep running forward to try to maximize on the yards gained on that play, just like this one right here. But then Cam Ward also does a good job at being able to, throw the ball while he's on the run. And that's something that a lot of quarterbacks in today's game, especially the mobile ones that can move, have to be able to do, and not just be able to throw on the run, but be able to throw on the run accurately. And he just delivers a dart right here on the run. So this really looks very similar to the Iron Manor play where they end up running the drag route from one side all the way to the other side of the field, and the receiver just separates from the defense, just simply runs past them. So it looked like a zone. They were in zone coverage. So initially he run past his man, and then you notice that he also gets behind the other man to the safety. So I'm assuming that he just was able to kind of get into the blind spot as the safety was kind of watching Cam Ward. And Cam Ward did a good job at keeping them at bay, meaning that he didn't just stare down the receiver the whole time to where the defenders can know, okay, this is exactly where he's going. We won't be able to jump in front of it. He did enough of just being able to kind of keep him at bay to allow the receiver to get in a good position and get behind him, just like how he did right here. And I mean, he delivered as perfect as a pass that you can deliver, in my opinion. The receiver just drops it. And this is one of those things to where it kind of makes you a little nervous for Cam Ward going into the season, meaning that a part of me is saying that this can possibly be the story of this upcoming season for him, being able to put the ball on the receivers and the receivers just simply dropping the passes. I don't think that this ball really could have been thrown any better. The offensive line did a good job at protecting him, so would allowing him to have a clean pocket to be able to set up, to be able to aim his foot at the target, which he did, and to be able to plant his back foot and to be able to get an accurate pass out there to him. As a receiver, we were always taught that when the ball hit your hands, regardless, if it hit your hands, you should have caught it. And this right here is one of those plays, those balls that hit you square in the hands, and there was no excuse of why he shouldn't have caught this. And even looking at the positioning of how Cam threw the ball. So if you look at the ball delivery, right? Watch. If he catches the ball right there, boom, he has another 10, 15 yards maybe. And, hey, it may even be more than that on that play. So that was one of those things where you got to just be able to, you got to haul those balls in, man. I mean, it really wasn't no excuse for that other than just lack of concentration and just dropping the ball. But to me, I think that was as perfect of a throw that you can throw for Cam Ward. He didn't underthrow him. He didn't lead him too far out of bounds. He kind of just put it in a position to where the receiver could have ran up under it and would have been able to get a lot of yards after they catch to create an explosive play. And who knows, it might have possibly could have been a touchdown as well. So right here, you can see they tried to run a wide receiver screen. So they ran one a little differently than the ones that we typically see. A lot of times you'll see teams line up in a 3-by-1, which will be 3 receivers on one side and 1 receiver on the other side. And they'll try to get numbers and they'll run screens, kind of like little bubble screens from there. But this one right here is kind of like they just ran a little quick wide receiver screen. The offensive lineman pulled to try to get in front of the receiver to create some running lanes down the field. And based off what I'm looking at from this camera angle, it looks like they had a lot of real estate to possibly work with had this pass been completed. Now, granted, I get where Cam Ward was coming from, because if you look at a lot of edge rushers, right, when you look at guys like TJ Watt, guys like JJ Watt, all of those guys that's really lethal at getting to the quarterback, a lot of times once they realize that they're not going to get to the quarterback or they can't get to the quarterback, especially if they're dealing with a quarterback who wants to get the ball out of his hands quickly, they'll just attempt to try to get into the passing lane, whether that be them jumping up and being able to swat the ball or sometimes even being able to pick the ball. So he was anticipating that the edge rusher was going to do that. So he tried to side arm it and kind of just put a little bit too much on it and kind of overshot the receiver. Now, granted, it's one of those things to where you say that if you're looking at the positioning and how things are happening, so you see that the offensive lineman did a good job at kind of being able to get in front of the edge rusher and kind of be able to just slow him down slightly, which would allow for Cam Ward to be able to put the ball over the top of the edge rusher's head to try to get the completion and try to rack up those yards after the catch. But right here, he just was anticipating that he was going to be able to come straight at him off of the line, and he tries to kind of side arm it and just kind of overshoots the receiver. And like I said, man, that's one of those plays you wish you could have back, because from this camera angle, I can't really see everything that's in front of him. But based off what I'm looking at from here, it looks like he had a lot of real estate to work with if they would have been able to complete this catch. So right here, you just got a simple swing route. It looked like they might have sent Iron Manor in motion from the other side of the field, or they might have motioned him from the slot, made him run, and then kind of come back, kind of trying to identify exactly what it was that the defense was in, whether it was man coverage or whether it was zone. But once again, here goes that Ward to Iron Manor connection. Like I said, man, I'm intrigued to see how that connection is going to play itself out. But I mean, like I said, just a simple swing route. Cam Ward did a good job at just being able to put the ball on the money to him and giving him opportunities to be able to maximize on yards after the catch. But once again, it goes into what I was saying. Even with accuracy, I know a lot of people might be like, oh man, that's just a simple throw. I mean, it is, but at the same time, it's still things that goes within it. You know what I mean? Because if you put the ball too far behind him, now he's delayed. Now it gives the defense a better opportunity at closing in on him. And even if you look at the guy on the outside that's holding up the block, putting the ball right there on the money, it gives him an opportunity to be able to, like I said, eat up yards after the catch, opposed to if he put it behind him and he has to readjust. Now the defender has a chance to be able to make a play on the ball, and it would have minimized from the possible yards gained after the catch. So like I said, once again, man, just good job, and kind of leading them to and allowing them. And in those type of routes right there, you want to allow the pass catcher, to catch the ball in motion, in stride. The way when he catches the ball in motion, his momentum is already going. Now he's just downhill, whether it be following his blocks or whether it be him believing in his speed and just outrunning the defense, or whether him utilizing his shiftiness and his craftiness, being able to make guys miss and, maximize on the potential yards after the catch. So right here on this play, I just wish that I can see the down and distance. That's the only thing that I would say that I kind of hate about some of these clips, is that it doesn't really show the down and distance. It doesn't show whether it's first down, whether it's second down, or whether it's third down. And a lot of times, knowing the down and distance gives you an opportunity to understand exactly what it was that the quarterback was trying to do. So right here, you see Atlanta was in a too high look. Obviously, a lot of the times in too high, the weakness of that would be the middle of the field. And honestly, if the safety or the linebacker, or they like that might be a safety, if he never really kind of jumps in front of that, it's possibly an option there with if Cam Ward was able to just put the ball right there in between the 1 and the 7, it would have been an opportunity for a completion. But right here, the linebacker just does a phenomenal job, honestly, and kind of just reading Cam Ward's eyes. Because I mean, for the most part, his eyes was in the same vicinity. It never looked to the left side, so you can discount that. And it never really looked to fully committed to the right side. It's almost like, okay, I knew exactly what route he was running, and I had already had it predetermined of where that ball was going to go, opposed to me kind of just going through my progressions. And also another thing too would be knowing the down and distance, because you got the tight end right there who eventually, chip blocks and then he releases. So you see he chipped the end and he releases. So I'm assuming that the corner on the outside stayed over the top of the receiver. Kind of going based off of what I'm seeing over here, I'm pretty sure he stayed over the top of that receiver. So it might have been an opportunity for a completion there. But granted, like I said, I don't know the down and distance, because that completion might not have warranted a first down. So obviously you want to go with it right here. But like I said, the linebacker kind of just does a good job at kind of really just reading Cam Ward's eyes and just kind of being able to hop in there at the last minute, which led to Cam Ward kind of having to try to put it to where it couldn't be picked off, and kind of just put it a little too low for the receiver to be able to go down and make a catch. So right here, another good throw. You see that they were in a shotgun on this play. So it looks like, from what I've seen, I'm not quite sure if it's just a preseason thing, or is that just kind of how they want to run with the season based off of what he's good at. And you see that a lot of it is predicated from the shotgun. So if I didn't mention it earlier, a lot of the times while you playing a shotgun, especially for younger quarterbacks, because it allows you to see the field a little bit better. So it allows you to kind of be able to identify exactly kind of more so what it is that the defense is in. It kind of gives you a more prettier picture opposed to being under center. So right here, man, he just does a good job. Honestly, like I said, footwork, mechanics, his drop back, like they might have had like a little two-step drop, but by it being a quick out route and by them being in the shotgun. And he really, well, it might have really just been a one-step drop, man, and just being able to put the ball on the money to the receiver. But once again, in those type of situations, you want to be able to put the ball to the receiver to where he's able to possibly, catch the ball and get upfield to try to maximize on the yards after the catch. So if he has to kind of turn his body around to try to readjust and catch the ball, it makes it that much more difficult of a catch. And if you see right there, the defenders are right there. So if he has to go any other way other than where he went right here on this catch, then it allows for them to really be able to make a play on the ball. Like I said, once again, I'm not quite sure the down and distance, whether it was a first down, second down, or whatever the case may be. If it was a first down and second down, it just makes it so much easier for you to be able to get it on third down. So a lot of, to me, what it goes into quarterback, and man, honestly, is not being not being so prideful and just taking what the defense gives us. So if the defense are going to give us little dink and dumps like this, then this is what we would do all the way up and down the field, right? And we're going to make them counterattack it. So either they're going to have to change up their defensive scheme and their game plan, or we would just take this all the way down the field. And that's what the great quarterbacks like Brady, Manning, Rodgers, Breeze, etc., those guys, they did a good job at just taking whatever it was that the defense gave them. All right, man. So for the final play, man, once again, you got Cam Ward in shotgun. So basically, he's trying to kind of run this. It looks like really, honestly, just a fade route. Once again, obviously, with one of his playmakers, Iron Man, just trying to give him an opportunity to go up and be a playmaker, which we've seen that he's able to do that. We've seen him display that against Colorado, against one of the top cornerbacks in college football at the time, which was Travis Hunter. So right here, man, honestly, he kind of just overshoots him a tad bit. That's one of those throws, once again, you would like to see him be able to put in there. I mean, looking at it for like, even when you come into frame from here, you can tell that Iron Man had a step over on the corner. And even when you look at the safety from where the safety broke, the safety wasn't going to be able to get over there on time to be able to really influence or to prevent Iron Man from catching the ball. At that point, it would have just been all of him. But Cam Ward just kind of got to do a better job at putting it out there and giving him opportunity to make a play. I mean, because it probably wouldn't have been much in terms of just anything explosive, which, to be honest, this would have been considered an explosive catch. And obviously it would have moved the sticks and put them in better position to go for it to convert to third down. Like I said, once again, I'm not quite sure the down and distance on that. Man, he had a relatively clean pocket. Honestly, man, the pass rush really was a non-factor. So he had enough time to be able to square up, point his foot, get his shoulder pointed at the receiver, and to be able to put it on him. But once again, he kind of just overshoots him. And one of the things too, man, we can't what's the word I'm looking for? We can't overly judge this. We have to understand that, for one thing, that this is preseason, right? So obviously he's not getting a lot of scheme. Everything is really just kind of simple, just to kind of get him into rhythm, get him into routine, and kind of get him acquainted with the game, the transition from college to the NFL. So we also got to take that into consideration. And obviously you want to see him complete some of these passes, like this pass right here. Obviously you want to see him make that play. But we have to understand that, man, this is just one play and this is preseason. So you got to think about it. When he come out, he only has maybe 6 or 7 plays, and after that he's gone for the game. So a lot of things offensively, or really just play wise, is built off of rhythm. Just being able to be out there consistently to get better as the game goes on. But if you don't really have that opportunity to get better as the game goes on, by it being preseason, it's a lot harder for you kind of to be able to just get certain things to click. And then it could have been one of those things too, to where the receiver could have kind of slowed down, which led to him kind of overthrowing it, or it could have just been a little miscommunication on that. And that's what preseason is for. Obviously, when they study film, it's things that Cam gonna tell Iron Manor about. Hey, man, this is what I want you to do in that situation. And so they're on the same page. That way, when this situation presents itself week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, depending on wherever it is, now they're in sync, because they have to go through that phase of trying to put it together in preseason. So I don't think that we can jump to conclusion and be like, oh, he's struggling, or oh, he's not playing good, because we're seeing that he has the composure right in the pocket. We've seen that he can throw on the run accurately. We've seen that he can put passes to his receivers accurately and get them opportunities to run after the catch, such as the little swing route and the little out route. So it's a lot of things that you like from him, and only time is going to tell in terms of his development. But I don't think that it's nothing that anybody should just be nervous about. I think that once he gets in routine, about time week 1 come, and just a few games after that, man, he'll kind of have things going, and he'll be in a much better position, because he got the reps, he got the experiences, and now it's translating over to the field. So we got to so don't just jump to conclusion and just be like, oh, he's struggling, kind of just give him time for it to play out. Nobody out here is playing a perfect game. You look at Spencer Spencer Rattler, first game didn't play too good for the Saints. Come out the second game and has a phenomenal game. So like I said, once again, man, everything is just based off of consistency, timing, and being able to get into a rhythm. But man, if you guys did enjoy this video, do me a big favor, man, smash that thumbs up button. Also, if you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe, and when you subscribe, make sure that notification bell is turned on, that way you be notified every time I upload. And I'll see y'all in the next video.